When the evening settles and the day grows still, stories rise softly from memory's hill. These are the letters we carry inside, stories of love, loss, and pride. Welcome, my friend, to Porchlight Letters.
Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Waikanae Beach in New Zealand. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2442. And the question we are we're talking about today is, what if memories change over time? That is a really good question, because memory is not fixed. It evolves with experience and perspective. So something that you saw happen and you remember it quite crisply because you've just seen it happen, a few years later it could be a little muted and different things. So let's have a look at why memories change over time. So memory is shaped by emotion and experience. Emotional impact often influences what is remembered most clearly. Memory reflects interpretation, not just fact. Whew. Yeah, think about that one. Memory reflects interpretation, not just fact. Stories may change with retelling. Each time a story is told, it may shift slightly. Details can be simplified, emphasized, or forgotten. These changes are part of how stories evolve over time. Think of a story that you've told over the years. Can you remember the original way you told that story? I was thinking about that earlier, and I was thinking, okay. And I was listening to a song that I've written that's going to be coming out soon, I hope. I got to get the music off it. I got to get the music video done. But the song is about the night that Brad died. That's 8.5 years ago. And there's some things I remember very clearly, very crisp, very sharp, and others I'm just a little muted on the details. Did this happen before this happened? This is what happened, but did this event happen before this event? Did this one happen before he died or after he died? Did this event happen before I called my parents or after I called my parents? So there's times this song is the song turned out really, really well. I just have 3 different versions and I don't know which one to put out. But it was a very emotional time when Brad passed. And I remember some events very, very clearly, and others are just a little muted. Like if you'd asked me 3 days after Brad had passed, I could tell you exactly what had happened at exactly what time and everything else. But over the last 8.5 years, it's gotten a little muted at times. Like I said, there's some things that are very sharp and very clear, and others that are just sort of like, oh, did that happen before or after this particular event happened, and things like that. So, there are times that the stories will mute over time. Some memories will stay crystal clear, and others you'll be like, yeah, I know that happened, but in what order did it happen? Or did that really happen? Or is that just something that I think happened, or did it really happen? So you can get those sort of things too. Stories may change with retelling. Each time a story is told, I've done that bit, sorry. That's what we're just talking about. Multiple versions add depth. This is when we talk about getting as many people as possible to retell their experience on one event that happened. And I'm going to bring this movie up again because it's the only one I can think of that does this, and it's Vantage Point. And this one is there's an assassination and in this foreign town somewhere, and it's in a square. There's buildings all the way around it. There's a podium up here, and the shooter comes from up here and shoots the politician that's standing there. And the Secret Service were involved, and so they're gathering everybody's phones and video cameras to try and piece together what happened. Did it actually come from up there? Did it come from up behind here? Where exactly did it come from? And each time they retell the story of the shooting, they rewind it back to the point you've already seen. Then they add the next layer and the next layer, and they keep taking it back. So yes, you do see a lot of replay in it, but what they're doing is at the same time is they're gathering everybody's recollection, because they want to make as complete picture as possible. So different accounts of the same event provide a fuller picture. Instead of choosing one version, consider how each perspective contributes. Together, they create a richer narrative. Actually, I feel like watching Vantage. I'm going to put that down to watch again because that's a really good movie. It's got some twists and turns in it. So if you like some twisty turny things, it's a good movie for that. But again, when you get more people, because everybody, even though you're all there and you all experience the same event, everybody has a different experience. Emotionally, physically, they have a different experience. Their memories will process, their minds will process it differently from everybody else. So you're going to end up with a very full picture. I remember years ago when I used to work for Marriott International in the training department, for our general managers of the Courtyard Fairfield Inn, Residence Inn, Town Place Suites, and Spring Hill Suites, we had what's called the Sea First. We had the general managers had to do an evaluation called 360. And what it was is that they had to get people who were, so they were the general manager, they had to get different people to evaluate them. And they had to do a self-evaluation. They had to get their bosses to evaluate them. They had to get some subordinates to evaluate them so that they could get a complete picture of how they did their job. That, and everybody had different experiences because of the different interactions with the general managers and things. And so they got these, they had to get these people to answer these, to go online and answer these questions to create this 360-degree picture of this person and how they did their job, which I thought was absolutely brilliant because, and there were some people that were under direct and some people indirect. And it was just a really cool assessment to get done. So again, taking different perspectives about the same thing and recording your responses to it, your emotions to it, your thoughts to it, because everybody processes things differently. Records can help anchor timelines. Documents can confirm dates and locations, helping to stabilize the story. So some people might say, they were born around this time and this is what was happening. What season were you in? We were in the autumn season. Okay, the fall season. All right, so that puts you into these months. Do you remember what year it was? Well, that was the year before this happened and before that happened. So yeah, it'd be about this time. So you can, just asking questions, you can find out, you can narrow down where something happened. And records do not replace memory, but provide structure. So the balance between both strengthens the accuracy. So based on the stories that you get from every person, when you ask them, what time of year was it? What season were you in? Were they harvesting? Were they in summer? Were they down at the beach? Were they buried in snow? Depending on where they lived. So by gleaning these little bits and pieces from, what time of the year was it? What other things had happened before or after that event? And you start getting to narrow things down. And it's actually quite interesting when you take those clues and put them together at what you can find. And I'm going to talk about that more in a second. Accept that change is part of storytelling. Memory is dynamic, not static. Accepting this allows stories to remain human and authentic. Change does not invalidate the story. And why does this all matter? Because understanding memory helps preserve both truth and perspective. Now, I've got to tell you about this show that's on here in New Zealand. It's called, oh, cheapers, now what's it called? My Family Mysteries, I think it's called. Hang on, I'm just going to see if I can quickly find it. It always helps when you have the app on your phone for it too. But I watched it's the second season has started again, but I've gone back and I'm watching from My Family Mystery. But I'm watching from season. They're into the second season, so I'm watching season 1. I've watched episode 1 so far, and I'm going to go and watch episode 2 now because it's really, really cool. So basically, these people come to this woman with a mystery, and it's a family mystery. The first one that they brought in was a guy, Luke or Lucas. He was an LU. That much I do remember. It was either Luke or Lucas. He came in with this photograph of his great-grandfather, and his great-grandfather's last name was Roberts, and there was family stories going around that his name wasn't actually what they thought it was. It was actually somebody else. And he was in the Merchant Marines and he was a mercy killer. Yes, I'll explain that all soon. A mercy killer, which is somebody that when somebody was injured so badly that they were going to die anyway, that this mercy killer came in and killed them. Basically, just helped them to go gently. But wait, then that he switched dog tags with somebody that he had killed. And so they wanted to find out if this story was true, what truth there was to it, what, if he did change his name, why, what was he running from, who was he, who was he really? And so through all this research, and you get to see the person, talking to people. She's got a network of people that she can contact that helps uncover the story. Well, first of all, in the Merchant Navy at the time, and this is the New Zealand Merchant Navy, they didn't have dog tags, and there was no such thing as a mercy killer. It was murder. Plain and simple. If you killed somebody, it was murder. There was just no holds barred on that. So then they started talking, and they brought in a genealogist to help with the research and all of that. They did some DNA testing. They had the guy who was finding the mystery had submitted his DNA, and then a second cousin of his submitted their DNA, and they found the common grandparent. And their last name was not Roberts; it was Wallace. So, and the Wallace couple had like 10 children. So, and like half, I think it was about half females, half males. But then they had to work out which person was it. So they're going along. None of the daughters ever married anybody called Robert. So that immediately cut out all the daughters. And so then on the males that were left in the family, who is most likely to be the parent of this person of mystery? So they had proven that they changed the name. They had disqualified the fact that he had switched dog tags with somebody. They had ruled out the fact that he had that he was a mercy killer. What else did they? And so they found out through DNA what his actual last name was. It was Wallace. And this guy, the guy Luke or Lucas, he had Roberts tattooed on his arm. And so when they uncovered all of this, they found out who he was, in the end, who he was, and they had a name for this person and all that. And so the lady who hosts the show asks the guy if he was going to change his name. He says, nope. He says, I've got, and she mentioned his tattoo, and he says, yeah, I've got Roberts tattooed on my arm over here. He says, now I have a story to go with the Roberts. And I was like thinking, that's a great way to look at it. This guy might have been in his like 30s, late 20s, early 30s. And I just thought that's a really cool story. So they do 2 an episode. The second one was this painting, was about a painting that it was a little mini portrait that had been brought in, and who had painted it and what was the story behind it. And the family had said that it had been brought back from Italy during World War II. Was it stolen? Was it something that belonged to the family? And they uncovered the mystery on that as well. But it was just a really cool thing. And again, what they are doing is they're interviewing people about whatever it is they're interviewing them about, whether they are part of the family, because there's always questioning with the family. They did the stories with the family, asking family members questions to help try and narrow things down in their search. But it was just really interesting to watch from somebody who does research and seeing how they went about doing their research. But yeah, so like I said, I've watched episode 1, season 1, episode 1. They're now into season 2. And I really can't wait to watch the rest of season 1. So I can catch up with what they got on season 2, because they show it every Sunday night, I think it is. But the cool part is you can go back and replay it. So I have no issue with that. If I don't watch it when it's live, it means less commercials for me, so shorter watching time. But anyway, so your practical takeaway for today: document multiple versions and compare them with records. And that's what they do on this show, is they send several people, either family members or specialists in their area, to help get a more rounded picture about what they're looking for, and maybe pick up some hints and tips on where they can look next, which is awesome to do. If you want help with your genealogy questions or your research, scan the QR code that's up here in the right-hand corner and set up a 30-minute discovery session with us so that we can help answer your questions or get you on the right path of your family tree research. Closing thought for today is: stories evolve, but meanings remain. And with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konera. Why is my button is not on?
The stories we carry stay bright through the night. A small steady glow in the fading light, stories of love, loss and pride we share, until we meet again. Keep the porch light burning.